rolling here. I need to wait for the live feed to start. It's going to take about 30 seconds here on YouTube, so I can mute it, and then we'll get going on this. And we're doing a sound check. Sound check 1 2 3. Sound check 1 2 3. Sound check, sound check. Oh, there you go. Okay, good. Okay, fellas, good morning. How we doing? Lizard skin. I don't have lizard skin. I actually have very thick skin. I just, I pay attention to the comments and I try to tailor the videos. One guy had a really good suggestion. He doesn't want them just called live shop. So in the information section, we're going to be putting you know, after the production, we can put it in post. We never know what we're going to talk about, so I'm just going to put some of the highlights in there. Today, what we're going to do, and I'm trying to shoot this in a different part of the shop every day. Today, we're going to be here on the surface grinder, let you guys ask surface grinder related questions, talk about what I keep. This is my little rolling cart that I keep next to my surface grinder. Talk about the tools I keep with me. A lot of stuff is really simple, but it's really handy to have around the surface grinder. A little muffled. Let me see if I can pull that up a little bit. Let's see. Let's go to control panel. And I'm going to pull the volume up about there. Sound check, sound check. How's that sound? Is that better, better, Paul? Kevin Pangle says it's 5 by 5. Joe Falmo says, good morning, Stan. Oh, I'm a lizard. I can handle the heat. Okay, I get it. Howdy from Illinois. Hello, Bill. Okay, better. All right, our sound's good. What we're going to talk about a little bit today was surface grinding, the equipment I keep around the surface grinder, arbors, how to change an arbor, how to pull an arbor, and then some of the tools. I got this little roll-around cabinet with all my little kit that I keep, and I made this cart just to go back and forth between the two surface grinders. So I got all my stuff with me at all times. I got asked a question the other day. Someone asked, how many wheels do I keep mounted up? Well, I keep, I've got I got 5 over there, plus the one on the machine, plus I've got one on the other machine. And these are already mounted on arbors. And these are non-balancing arbors. So these, the arbors themselves don't balance, but these wheels have already got a good track record. There's no you know, wobble to them. Sometimes you get them right out of the box and the center line is off and the wheel wobbles. Now, unless you make a cut down each side and actually thin the wheel and take the wobble out, that thing's never going to run good. And I've got them brand new right out of the box that are like that. You can static balance those all day long, but as long as that wobble is there, it's never going to run smooth. And I call those problem children. I break them in half over the edge of the table and I discard them. But that's one type of wheel. That's just a regular type 1. I keep a little dished wheel. This has got a real light dish. This is very heavily worn. It started out up here, but I use this for side wheeling. And again, non-balancing arbor. And as long as we're talking about mounting wheels on arbors, you'll notice there's a piece of cardboard up against the wheel on both sides. This is important. When you get a wheel, and that's called a blotter. And if the blotter has come loose, make one, glue it back on. I use Gorilla Glue, just a urethane adhesive, and glue it back on. Or you can make one. The cardboard off of a cereal box or kind of some heavy cardboard makes a fine blotter. But that's important. It isolates vibration and it saves your arbors from getting damaged. So blotters are important. And it conforms. It lets your arbor crush down without actually damaging the wheel and hurting it. Here's another wheel I keep mounted up, 6-inch. That's a 46H Norton. These are all aluminum oxide. Here's a smaller wheel. Now what, with a little bit finer grit, this is a 60K, smaller diameter. So what you've done is you've lowered your surface feet per minute with a smaller wheel. So it reacts differently and it runs cooler. You know, the large wheels, you've got a lot of surface feet per minute there. So you can make a little bit heavier cuts with this and still get a good finish with a smaller diameter wheel. Let's look at some comments and then we'll go back to there. YouTube is broken, says 0 are watching now. Kevin, no, I'm showing 28 people watching. Martin says looks nice, nicely combed. Sound is good here in Kentucky. Hi Stan from Finland. Hello Finland. Where do you get extra arbors? I comb eBay for them. You want to get the left-hand thread. I mean, I'm talking just Boyer Schultz here. And you know, most American-made surface grinders are going to have the same arbor style. It's 3 inches. The taper is 3 inches per foot, and the major diameter right here is 1 inch. Those are if you hit those two, 3 inches per foot, 1 inch major diameter, your arbor will fit. And left-hand thread. Make sure you get lefties or the nut will spin off when you run the machine. So, and then I keep one other type of wheel mounted up, and this is a cup wheel. And I'll use this to get in really tight up against a vertical surface because the arbor is recessed, so the arbor doesn't get in my way. So if I've got to grind down on a horizontal surface, but I need to get in tight to a vertical, the wheel effectively only cuts right here, that little 1/4 inch right there. So that's one I keep mounted up. And then I keep my big dog mounted up here on the machine. And this has got a depressed center. We'll pull this in a second and we'll take a look at this wheel. And this is an aluminum oxide ruby blend. It's got actual rubies in it. And it's a little bit cooler cutting and it cuts very free, but it also degrades quickly. Touch on the best type of dresser when you get the chance. Craig S. says, good morning, Stan. Bill De La Vega, good morning, Stan. Hi, Stan. On my lunch break here in Barry, Pennsylvania. Sound and vid look good on my iPhone. Okay. Rich says, good afternoon from Florida. Good afternoon, Florida. Bill says, I have a Covell, like Adam Booth, 612. That's what this is. This is a 612 grinder we're next to today. So now it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. Yeah, pretty much. You got to think backwards. Let me show you the tools I use to mount wheels on arbors. And this is stuff you might already have. This is, adjustable pin spanner. And then just another pin spanner to go on each side of it, and you just want to tighten that arbor on there. Or actually, you're going to go like this, huh? You're going to go backwards. And I've got that one in a little offset to clear, you know, some of the cup wheels and stuff. So I actually put this little offset in there to get in on the cup wheels and work them over. But that's what you mount an arbor on your wheel with. And make sure they're down tight. I've got these are the eBay arbors I get here. I mean, I get them and they're kind of rough. And you know, it's the inside. I check the inside. I'll seat them with some bluing and check the fit. Make sure that this face runs very true. You know, it doesn't have a bunch of wobble or run out. I mean, your imbalance can come from anywhere. And this face and this face have to be very parallel with each other. So you can check them out pretty good on the machine. Mount them up. Make sure your taper looks good. Mount them up and check those. So they're pretty easy to check. And if they're bad, depends on how bad, but I wouldn't want to see more than a half thou, you know, 5/10 of run out in one of these things. Remember, after you mount the wheel on the arbor, it stays there, and you pull the arbor on and off of the spindle, and if there's a little bit of wobble in there, you can cut it out of it with the diamond and dress your wheel and cut it very square to match the arbor, but it's better if they're running straight. Oh, let's see. Hello, Stan from Florida. Haven't seen you in a long time. Been watching Keith Finner for his last couple of years. and know how YouTube stuff throws in. Your channel came up. Oh, okay. Well, hello, Gene Carlson. Gene Carlson? Is that Gene Carlson from Floyd Carlson and Company? Is that you? If this is the same Gene Carlson, this is my best friend back in high school. In him in years. So Gene, awesome. Good to see you. Tools for Machines, Gary, how you doing? I was lucky enough to get and stop by the office for a couple of service calls. Glad I can make the live feed. Gene Carlson, yes it is. Dude, you need to drop me a line. I sent you an email about 4 or 5 years ago. Damn fly. I sent you an email about 4 or 5 years ago and it went unanswered. You were working, you're still in the heavy equipment industry, I think, and in Florida, and still married to Wallery, I guess. And send me an email. We need to catch up. Let's see. Stan, show how to disengage the X hand wheel when running on hydraulics. There seems to be something missing on my Boyer Schultz. This one is not hydraulic. The other machine has a pin on this side. This wheel simply pulls out and that disengages the wheel. Pretty simple, and it's spring loaded, but the pin is gonna, when you pull it, push the pin in and that's gonna hold your wheel out. And that's what you do when you engage the hydraulic feed. This one's not hydraulic, the other Boyer is. Okay, okay, we've talked about grinding wheels, we've talked about setting the arbors on the grinding wheels. Let's talk about taking an arbor on and off. Let me get my tools out here. We're going to use two different things. One is a very simple pin spanner that I made, and the other is going to be a wheel puller that I made. And this is pretty simple to make. You can single point thread it on the lathe, and this has a very strange thread. It's not a machinery's handbook. I think it's like 3/4 16. It's not a standard thread, so you're gonna have to single point it on the lathe to make it. Maybe knurl this, and then this is a drive. This is what puts the pressure on the spindle, and you want that inside at a 60-degree point to catch the end of the spindle. So let's pull a wheel. First, you're gonna do the nut. Remember, this is backwards thread too. And it shouldn't take you much to pop that nut off of there. And that's just the retainer nut, left-hand thread. If you lose it or damage it, check with the tool miser, Andrew Padaka. He sells these on eBay. Next is the wheel puller. Now you've got an internal thread in your arbors, and you can always tell when people don't use pullers because you'll get an arbor off of eBay and it'll have, the threads will just be all plugged up with grinding dust and schmutz and stuff, and it won't do anything. So, and we've bottomed the outer collar, we've gone tight on the T-handle here, and just give it a snap. And this is gonna pull your wheel off, and you can change the wheel, but with this, you don't lose your dress. You've already dressed the wheel, and you know it runs true. And you know, you don't lose it at all. You may have to touch it up, but you don't have to plow 30, 60 thousandths out of the wheel and lose your wheels. Now this was the Ruby wheel I was talking about. It's got a depressed center. Don't be depressed. It's got a depressed center, and this is a balancing arbor. And you can see the counterweights back there. You counter rotate those 2 different directions, and that's gonna set your balance. This is my biggest wheel, my biggest, heaviest wheel, so this does require balancing. All right, and then changing the wheel is just as easy as grabbing another one. Make sure your bore is clean, make sure your spindle is clean, and then seat it just like you would a Morse taper, you know, just kind of snap it in there. And remember, left-hand thread, righty loosey, lefty tighty. That doesn't even sound right, does it? And it doesn't take a hell of a lot. Never hit your spindle with a hammer, ever. Bearings don't like that kind of stuff. So that's how you change a wheel quickly without losing your dress. That's especially helpful with these little knife edge wheels. You know, if you're doing some side wheeling and stuff. So that's always, it's always nice not to have to do a major redress when you, all you have to do is touch up a little bit. Let's read some comments and we'll talk about some other stuff. Good morning, Stan. Lunchtime here in Brunswick, Georgia. Hello, Brunswick, Georgia. Gene Carlson says, okay, will do. Good to hear from you, Gene. Good Lord, it's amazing the way people find each other. It says, okay, I am missing the pin. Oh, yes, you are. There should be a hole in the side. And the other machine's got it. This machine doesn't have it. Maybe I'll swing you over. Remind me at the end of the show and I'll swing the camera over and I'll show you the one on the other one. James Green, good morning. Drinking my coffee and watching you this morning. Awesome. How you doing, James? Is that puller tool right or left hand threaded? It's just both of them are right hand threads. Okay. Pierre says, hi, Stan. Hello, Pierre. Stan, show a close-up of the end of the spindle without the nut. Oh, I already put the thing back on. Sorry. Of the end of the spindle without the nut. It's just a male thread and a taper. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about a few tools that I use around the surface grinder. Now, someone made me this hammer. This came from the great state of Texas, and this is some Texas ironwood. And the reason I like a wooden hammer around a mag plate, you got your magnet on, you got your part in there, and maybe you're making a sweep on it with an indicator, and you want to move it around. Well, you want to kind of tap that thing around, but you've got a very heavy magnetic field here, and you get a hammer anywhere near that magnet and it just sucks it down to the table. So a wooden hammer is wonderful for knocking parts around on the mag with the magnet turned on to get them indicated in. So that's why I use a wooden hammer around the surface grinder. Let's talk about some other little things that kind of can make a difference. Always keep a diamond card with you. That's a 600 grit diamond card. It's great for coming in. You know, if you think you got a high spot or something on your mag, you just go over your mag and check it. Let's talk about dressing wheels. Let's say we're going to make a shape, or we want to put a corner radius on there. Carborundum stone. There's a big heavy wonker for removing mass quantities of material. And these are really cheap. These are like $3 for shaping your wheel. And then there's a Norbide stick, which is carborundum stone, but it's a very precise, very sharp cornered carborundum stone, and you can shape your wheels with that and get in some really tight corners and stuff with this. Don't drop these, they just completely shatter, but great little stone. So use your carborundum for dressing your wheels, you know, creating a radius. We can talk about dressing and what I do after I dress. There's your daily driver diamond. That's a 1/2 carat mounted in just a simple block. Plop it down on the mag, take it down. Now what you want to do is get it on center line or beyond center line. Don't ever lead it, trail it. So as you're making your passes, you want to just, if you're cleaning the wheel, do it slowly. Take it across, you know, until you see the wheel start running clean, a little bit of down feed, couple thou. Just keep coming back and forth, do it slowly. Now let's talk about the dress. That's different from cleaning the wheel. We've got our wheel flat and square on the bottom, but you know, maybe we want to plow through some material and we want to coarsen that up. On your last pass, you want a very coarse dress. As fast as you can crank that handle, on your last pass after you've cleaned your wheel, do about a thou or two of down feed, and as fast as you can crank this wheel, run it across that wheel. That creates almost threads on that grinding wheel, and it creates clearance for your wheel to cut very freely and get the material out of there and run cooler. So that's the difference between a coarse dress and a fine dress, is the speed of your step over when you're doing your last bit of cuts. Let's look at some comments and we'll move on. Good morning. Thread pitch 750 by 16 TPI on that puller tool. I need to make one. I do believe it is. Double check the inside of your arbors. I think they're six. I don't have a thread pitch gauge here, but double check the inside of your arbors and see what's going on with those. Good evening from Amsterdam. Hello, Amsterdam. All right, let's talk a little bit more about what I keep here with the surface grinder. Next up is a very simple tool, and I don't even know whether you can consider it a tool. It's just a little angle block that I made in surface ground. It's not even hardened. And if you're putting a part, and you've got a back fence, so you've got a good reference surface in the back, and out front, your mag is square and true, and you may want to set something closer to you and stay away from the fence there in the back. You can come in here and you've got a little fence right there that you already know is parallel, and you can bring your parts right up to that. So there's no need in installing a fence and doing all that stuff. There's just a really quick little tool you can drop on there, bring your parts in and index them. So that's something I keep in my little ditty drawer at all times. Another thing I keep handy is just a cheapy depth mic. This was a yard sale proto, I think. But this is really nice for checking parts for thickness. If you're doing some thin work, you can go up to an inch with this thing, and you can check thickness right on the machine. You make a pass and just plop this right down on top of your part, and then measure down to the mag, and you can get a good idea of your actual thickness of your part. So this is something I keep here all the time. I like this one. It's got a stainless steel base and a stainless steel rod, and it's not magnetic, so the magnet doesn't affect it. So that's why I keep that here in my drawer. Another thing I keep in here is a Starrett angle protractor that actually I've cannibalized. It used to be a big old long thing. I stuck it in the shear and lobbed it off, and it's just good for if you want to put parts on there and plop it down at a 45 off of any known surface. So I use that, and I just this is stainless too, so it doesn't stick to the mag, so it's kind of nice. You can put your part on, get it lined up, hit the mag, and then this will pull right off. So I keep that around. Pierre says, do you have a hydraulic system on your grinder, or is it just manual? This one's manual. The other grinder over here is hydraulic. Talk about dressing wheels with a tangent dresser. Yes, we'll go into the tangent dresser. I haven't gotten there yet, James. You're getting way ahead of me on my show. You want to run this thing? Another thing I keep around are just these little can't twist clamps, and these are the stainless steel versions. Again, they don't stick to the mag. Anything you can get around your plate that is non-magnetic, the better. When you got that magnet turned on, you get anything within a 1/4 inch of it, it's getting pulled in. So I use these for clamping thin parts vertically to 1, 2, 3 blocks or things like that. Okay, that's my top drawer. Let's go to the next drawer down. Here we've got some miscellaneous diamonds. Let's talk about transfer blocks. These are magnetic transfer blocks. Now, by themselves, they are not magnetic, but they do transfer magnetism. So when you drop them on, like this, we could grind on a round. There's a piece of round there. So that dude would sit like that, turn the mag on, and we've pulled down our round part. These are the laminated type, and you can see the laminations. And these have one caveat. They only work when you run these parallel with the magnets on your plate. So this would work, in this direction, but not in this direction. Absolutely no magnetism gets transferred. So it has to be parallel. So that's the only bad thing about the laminated type. They do make another type of magnetic transfer blocks, and those are the button type. But when you look down on them, they actually have iron pins through the core of them, and those will transfer magnetism in any direction. The holding power on the laminated ones is better when you have them lined up. So that's some V blocks we use. Let's look at just the plain old parallels. Now these are just plain old, that's like a 1, 2, 3 block. And these are a laminated cast iron and aluminum laminate. And these are cheap enough, you can find them cheap enough where you can carve them up and not worry about them. These have these, I cut these grooves in it on the mill just for clearance, so I could lay my parts down flat. And they're cheap enough if you drill a hole in it, or you know, cut a slot in it, or a relief or something, it's not going to break the bank and it's not going to break your heart. So the little aluminum ones are fairly inexpensive. When you get them, these are the imports. When you get them, don't expect much. You're going to have to true them up, grind them, and things like that. Grinding aluminum is tricky. You want to use the coarsest wheel you can and flood it hard with coolant to try to keep that wheel clean, just to get through the job. But available on eBay or almost anywhere. Magnetic transfer blocks, the laminated type. And like I said, spare diamonds, spare diamond holders, different odds and ends for the surface grinder. Let's look at some comments here real quick. Nick Schneider says video is fine here too. Rowan says video is lagging audio, or maybe you are a ventriloquist. No, the live feeds have trouble with the video audio sync. Any words of wisdom about a permanent magnet versus electromagnetic chuck? Permanent magnets, you can actually, this is built by Suburban. This is my sign plate mag, and you can actually vary the magnetism on this one by how far you turn, you know, engage it. You can bring it in a quarter turn, eighth turn, and you can feel the difference, you know, from full to half. You can feel the difference, and you can vary it, and you put that Allen wrench wherever you want it, and it pretty much stays there. You know, I can bring this in, there's about halfway there, and you get a real light magnetism. You can go full, and it gets pulled down tight. Now the reason that's handy, if you're doing maybe some 1/4 inch stock, or God forbid some 1/8 inch stock, and say it's bowed, and you force it down flat and then grind it, and then when you release, that thing just pops right back up. Well, what you want a really light hold on something thin, and you just want to kind of dust it off. So varying the magnetism is kind of important. You can do it with these, it's a little trickier, but the electromagnets, you just got to dial. You can control the magnetism on the electromagnets. So that's that. What do I use for coolant? Cool Mist. Let me go get it. Cool Mist number 77. And this 1 gallon makes about 600 gallons or something like that. 4 fluid ounces with 1 gallon. So a little goes a long way. Lonnie Zanetti says, it's my first time watching your live show and I love it. Thank you, Lonnie. Will those laminated blocks work vertical? No. Mark Anderson says, I'm on the East Coast, video and audio working good here. What about water-soluble based grinding fluids? I just use Cool Mist. I haven't used anything but. Is Cool Mist better than flood coolant? Probably not. I have yet to set up a flood coolant on any machine. My other surface grinder, the tray has the bathtub. I have the bathtub and the sideboards and the drain tube. So I can put flood coolant on it if I want. I may do that. Silly Whiskers, hello Stan. Do you have any tips on grinding stainless shim without a vacuum table. Without a vacuum table, stainless shim. I guess you're talking 300 series stainless here, right? Not 400. Yeah, I don't know how you'd hold that without a vacuum table. It depends on what your parts look like. If you can come up with some kind of clever hold downs or something to expose the entire top of the part, if they're square or rectangular, you may be able to get in there. Use those hold downs I sent you. Yeah, if they're square edged parts, you can use these pin downs. I got them over in the mill, and they'll grab a very thin part by the edges. He said shim, so they might be really thin. Super glue releases when it gets hot, so you'd have to keep it really cool. Starrett model 54. Yeah, is that what the part number on those is, James? You're the Starrett guy. Okay, let's talk about a couple other things. Talk about some work holding. I keep a few small toolmaker's vices over here. There's a little fella there. And here's another little stubby bob. So we got two different sizes there for putting small parts in and grinding on them. Most of the time, your work's going to start out over at the surface plate. You're going to put your vise in there and put your part in there and indicate it in some way. So most of the work usually starts out at the surface plate, then you bring it to the surface grinder. But I keep a few small ones here. And then if you've got just a small, a tool to grind or something, I'm gonna show you this little cutie pie here. How's that little fellow there? Yeah, let's do that. That's a little baby there. Anyways, I mean, if you've got a little 1/4 inch bit you want to put in there at an angle and touch up a Acme threading tool or a 60-degree threading tool or something, you can do it really quick and easy with this little fella. So that's my smallest vise, and my big ones are over in my toolbox. Double-sided tape. No, I don't think I'd use double-sided tape either. You wouldn't be able to hold a tolerance. James Green says your hold downs are Starrett model 54A, B, and C. They come in 4, 5, and 6 inches long. Thank you, James Green. Mr. Starrett. Okay, James wanted to talk about the radius and tangent dresser. This is a Japanese-made Yusawa. Now this will do two things besides be really freaking heavy. Knob on the side here, pin out, and this will simply do radius. Okay? Now let's take it into tangent mode. We're going to lock the knob here on the side. This is really difficult to do up in the air. And then we're going to come here and we're going to pull this rear knob, we're going to pull it out, and then we've got tangent this way. And you can see it moving on a dovetail there. There's so many things you can do with these. You can shape a wheel any way you want. After you've got the wheel roughed in, you can do a 1/4 round on one side and then make the tangent come in and go straight across, so you can have straight, curve, convex, concave, any angle you can imagine. You could set your stops so it your radius this way to one stop, hit 45, and run up that way, like that, and then radius the other way, hit your stop, and then tangent up that way. All right, this is a heavy pig. I'm gonna set it down on the bench and get it off of my, that was my morning workout. So that's a radius and tangent dresser, James. You didn't buy one yet? You got a surface grinder and you haven't even got a radius and tangent dresser yet. Any reason not to go with an 18-inch capacity machine versus the 12-inch? The 12-inch, the price was right. That's the only reason I bought it. My new machine is an 18, Jim. My uncle worked at Starrett for about 40 years before he retired. I remember looking through those catalogs as a child and still love those tools. Indeed, that is the truth. Yes, I did. I just wanted to see you lug that heavy pig around this morning. Thank you for that, James. I can't get too mad at you. You keep sending me stuff. You send me stuff for the 618. You sent me a bottle of whiskey the other day. I just can't get too mad at you. Okay. All right. Last thing we want to talk about is some other stones I use when you're, and this is also for your diamond card. When your parts come off, if you've ground them to a 90-degree edge, you've got a wire edge there. It's just like rolling out a burr with an end mill, except on a microscopic level. You want to break that edge. You just want to take that outside corner and run a diamond card across it, and you'll actually see a little wire come off of there. Those things, you can cut yourself with a 90-degree angle. I've laid myself open so many times on parts that are just coming off of the surface grinder, taking them over to the wash bin to get washed, and just cut yourself on them on the way by. Always deburr. Diamond card's good for that. Norton India stone is good. And I've got an Arkansas stone here that I recently cleaned up. And as soon as I finished, dropped it on the floor, snapped it clean in half. So broke my heart. This was a good little Arkansas stone. So now I have 2 Arkansas stones. So, and then you got your big rough ones here. When stuff's coming out of heat treat and you want to knock the corners off and knock the high spots off, you just keep a big old nasty here to do that and get a rough finish on it. Knock the high spots off so you can get them down, laying down flat on the mag. Okay, what else do I keep in my box of goodies? Let's see what we got here. Oh, beeswax, good for a final finish. If you're going to come back, this is going to reduce your heat when you're coming in for your final. You've plowed your material off, your part's really hot, you let it sit, you let it cool down. Now you want to come back and start getting a fine finish. Give yourself a quick dress, charge the wheel with a little bit of beeswax, and make your cut. That's going to help keep your wheel running cooler. Another thing you can do, and I've had pretty good luck with this, polishing rouge. After you've charged the wheel with a small amount of beeswax, you can come back with this. This works like a tube of chapstick. You just push it up from the bottom, and you can actually charge that beeswax with a small amount of jeweler's rouge and on your final finishes, and that'll take out your lines. That'll get all your step over lines when you're grinding. It'll remove all those. So beeswax and jeweler's rouge if you're trying to get a finish. And I'll show you a finish that I created with that. You can wipe it off here because it's got my handprints all over it. But that's what your finish will turn out like. I'll try to turn it so you can get the... But that finish there is beeswax and jeweler's rouge. Okay, comments. Have you ever reground rotary hex brooches? They don't look that hard. I know they've got about a 1 or 2 degree back cut. They don't look like they'd be that difficult. Good afternoon, Janice. What grit wheels do you use when finishing your squares? I use a 46 grit on the main webs and everything. On all the measuring surfaces, I use 60. Okay, well, let's see. We've been on the air for 38 minutes. I'm going to hang out and wait for some other comments. I don't think there's anything left to talk about. Yeah, I've gone through all my tools. I've gone through all my surface grinder wheels. We went over the machine a little bit. I don't think there's anything left to talk about. Paul Compton and back. That saying just gets around, doesn't it? Home now and watching. What do you think is a better value, a new import quality machine or a used, better quality American-made machine that needs work. I'd look around for a used one. Don't get it in a tool and die shop. Those are going to be overworked. If you get one that's in a regular machine shop, chances are they didn't use it hardly at all. So that would be a very low use machine. So I'd look around in regular machine shops, not tool and die makers, because at a tool and die maker, these things are never going to cool down. But at a regular machine shop, a surface grinder is not going to have much use. Best procedure for best results. Thank you, Bill. All right. Oh, one thing I was going to mention, if you guys, in your travels, if you run across a mag, this is another heavy wonker. See, this one's been carved up too. And you know, I didn't pay enough for it where I really worry about it. But another magnetic plate, a loose one, is handy. You can plop it. There's no reason why you can't plop it right down on top of your existing mag and use it here. But you know what? You can go stick it over on the mill. You'd be surprised at the holding power of those magnetic chucks. And you can plop it down on the mill and do some fine milling with that. And the magnetic plates are handy in a lot of places. Okay, fellas, well, I think I'm going to close it up. I'm going to ask for comments one last time, and I'm going to shut down the live feed. I got some work to do over there, and start my Friday. Thank God it's Friday, huh? Gary says he just set up Chromecast in the living room TV, and I know I'm full life size. That's scary, Gary. Scary Gary. They used to have a surface grinder here, got rid of it. Bill, that's a shame. Those are really handy for touching up a lot of your tools. I didn't really get into it, but a Spindex is really handy on a surface grinder for a few different things. Paul Trillo, Stan, thanks for the live feed. Have a great weekend. You too, Paul. Have a good weekend. James, I'm probably not going to do an evening show tonight. Brian from Pennsylvania, love the grind. Thank you, Brian. Nick, thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome weekend. Will do. Okay, fellas, thanks for the info. Craig, you betcha. Swing by anytime. Hope you guys enjoyed this edition of Live Shop. I'm going to try to move us around, you know, at every show and talk about something different and actually try to do something, not just sit and drink beer and crush beer cans on our forehead. So we'll try to mix it up for you guys a little bit. Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. And from me to you, have a great day.